Welcome to the New Process Podcast. Learn all the tools, methods, and best practices combined with people, emotions, and a human-centric mindset to rethink your process and push it to the next level. And here is your host, Mirko Kloppenberg.
Yeah, welcome to episode 44 of the New Process Podcast. Today, it's all about the Hot BPM Skills in 2024. Therefore, I'm talking to Zbigniew Misiak. Zbigniew is let's call him the creator of an impressive research work, which is called BPM Skills, Hot or Not. As part of his research, he asks BPM thought leaders, practitioners, and people from academia which BPM topics are currently hot and which are not relevant anymore from their individual perspective. I'm super honored that he is sharing the results and providing insights onto the BPM Skills 2024 research in the New Process Podcast today. Besides his outstanding research, Zbigniew is senior consultant at BOC Information Technologies Consulting since 2006. BOC Group is the company behind the BPM tool ADONIS you might be aware of. Zbigniew blogs about BPM at bpmtips.com, a blog he already started in 2008. He holds a master's degree in business informatics from SGH Warsaw School of Economics. Zbigniew lives in Warsaw together with his wife and his daughter. Personally, he likes to sing and read, and he's a real BPM enthusiast. He even published a BPM course on Udemy, and he also published a BPM book in Polish language, and he is working on an English book too. So, in this episode, you'll learn what the hot BPM skills are, which you have to learn for 2024, which skills are not relevant anymore, and for sure, we'll also talk about his BPM experiences and his recommendations on how to get people excited for processes. So, enjoy the interview with Zbigniew.
And now, let's start to rethink processes.
Yeah, welcome to the New Process Podcast, Zbigniew. It's so cool to have you here. I feel super honored to be part of your Hot BPM Skills 2024 research, and even more honored to talk about this today. So, welcome to the New Process Podcast, Zbigniew.
Thank you very, very much for having me. Thanks for the invitation, and thanks for participating in my post.
Sure, absolutely. But before we talk about these amazing outcomes, results, let's start with a check-in. So, what do you prefer in an aircraft, aisle or window seat?
This is a little bit complicated question. This is the question I was afraid, because I don't fly that much. For me, the train is preferred way of traveling, but both in a plane and in a train, I prefer window seats because I enjoy having nice views, and for me it is much better time if I can watch the beautiful landscapes from the window seat.
Yeah, that's very good. And what is your favorite airport?
Well, since I don't fly a lot, I don't have experiences like many of your guests. So I will only mention the Warsaw Chopin Airport because this is the one where I normally leave the Poland and return. So this is pretty nice if I can watch the Warsaw from the plane, especially at night. So it looks beautiful, and for me it means that okay, I'm coming home in a few minutes, so maybe not few minutes, but half an hour or hour. I'll be back home. So this is the airport that I like very much.
Okay, and what is your favorite train station then?
Central Warsaw Station. It is even closer to my home. So when I'm there, I know that I'll be home very, very soon.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. And what was the best process you have ever experienced?
It is complicated. So generally speaking, there are many, many processes around us. I would say a little bit jokingly that there are two kinds of processes that I enjoy very much. First, the process is the process of buying bread in my local bakery. It is not fast. It is not very efficient because it requires effort from my side. I need to take a walk. I need to wait a little bit. The bread is not the cheapest. But the ladies working there know my family very well. They know what we like. So when I'm ordering something, they are wondering, only half of this bread? Why not full? We additionally have this and this. Maybe your wife or your daughter will enjoy this. So this is incredible that they really know what we like. They give awesome recommendations. So this is an example of process which is very, very much oriented about personal touch, but the costs, efficiency are not topics there. So this is one of the processes that I like very much. And other group of processes that are totally fascinating for me are the e-commerce processes. It is incredible how easy, convenient is to order something. I can simply use my smartphone, click, order groceries, order some other stuff, and very, very quickly I can get what I wanted. I had a chance to discuss some time ago with one of our clients who are a big logistics company, and they said that actually they had to, let's say, downgrade their capacity because they made a process that was so efficient that customers were ordering and the courier was waiting with the stuff and the people were not ready for it. So they had to add some more space so that people who were ordering were actually ready to pick up the things that they ordered. So for me, those e-commerce processes are amazing because this is super fast, super convenient. So the customer experience is totally awesome. And the cool thing about those processes is that for the customer, they look so easy. I simply grab the application, I simply click, scroll, pay, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, I have it. But on the back end, there are lots of things happening. So there are processes for the actual company that does something. There are processes for the company that handles payments. There are processes for the logistics company because you may have something delivered by the courier, or maybe do you prepare some kind of parcel locker and so on. So it is incredible how easy it seems for the customer, but how complex it is on the back end. And I must ask you again, a little bit joking here. Do you know the concept of duck theory? I know it from Steve Towers.
Okay, no. Tell me more.
Duck theory is a very important theory about processes and customer experience. So the top of the duck looks cute. It flows on the lake so beautifully without any kind of effort. But below the surface, you have crazy paddling. So the customer experience part looks super easy, smooth, and wonderful. But the processes, internal processes, there is a lot of going on and customers are not aware of what is happening there. And this is actually good because they don't need to understand what is happening. They are just interested about their, results. They are not interested how it happens, but they want to have what they ordered quickly and without any problems. So this is interesting intersection of customer experience, customer journeys, and processes. And as you could see, there are places where we really care about speed, efficiency, our customer experience, and places where we don't care about those things because we care more about relations, about the social aspect of meeting other people and processes that are not, let's say, optimal.
Yeah, I heard about that duck theory before when I talked to J.M. Erdenson in the Aris interview. When we talked about Aris, he described Aris as a duck, exactly as you did. Okay, let's not talk about Aris here, but I wasn't aware that there's a real theory which is called duck theory. Thank you very much.
It is a joke. I learned about it from Steve Towers. They had in one of his courses, I think with his colleague James, I think they created this duck theory.
Okay.
And Steve told me when I mentioned it, oh no, not the duck theory. I hope that everyone forgot about it. But it was so cute, so great example. So I thought that it is worth preserving, it is worth mentioning.
Absolutely. We can now always refer to this story. That's
because
perfect.
This is easy to understand, easy to remember, and it has deep meaning below. So I hope that this concept of duck theory will help some of the listeners of podcasts think about what do they do and how do they organize their processes so they look wonderful for the customers, but they are aware that inside the company there is lots of additional things going on. This is a little bit more complicated. So I think this duck theory is based on old jokes. So be like duck, above the surface, look composed and unruffled, but below the surface, paddle like hell.
That's super cool. And this already tells a little bit about your relationship to process. But I have to ask, how would you describe your relationship to processes?
I would say love at first sight.
Aww.
On my fourth year of studies, I was participating. I attended, I think it was computer class for generally database-oriented stuff. And one of the lectures had something to do with processes. For me, processes were not something I knew that many about. And I saw those wonderful boxes, arrows. We had to model the process. We have to simulate it. It was moving. I thought, wow. Later on, I learned that you can actually do it for a living. My colleagues during studies from Big Four companies told, no, this is something only technical guys are doing it. You will never earn a living by doing it if you're not a IT guy. And I'm not IT guy. So I thought, maybe, but I tried and luckily it worked. And by helping people work with their arrows, rectangles, I can do lots of cool things. So this is incredible.
That's amazing.
I think some years ago we had an interview with Sandeep Jahal. It was also kind of fun type of interview, and we made a joke that I'm abnormally attracted to arrows and rectangles. So this would be a summary of my relationship with processes.
That's perfect. And now you are still working as a senior consultant for BOC Group, and you're doing this since 2006. So wow, what huge time frame! And BOC is the maker of ADONIS. Yeah, actually, I haven't had an ADONIS interview in the past, but I had a closer look onto that when we selected the tool for a customer. So I'm still aware of that. But this is not the topic today. Maybe we can do a separate episode on that. But what was your favorite BPM project in this unbelievable long time span you were working as a consultant for BPM?
Good question. I had quite a lot of projects, and working at BOC Group is super interesting. So I don't recall any boring day, any day that I thought, oh no, again the same. So every day is a very interesting day because it is wonderful if you can help the customers, if you can help them with modeling, if you can help them with a tool, and especially if you can see that when you're coming into the company, they're struggling with something. So for example, people are spending way too much time on simple things that because their processes are not properly organized. And when you see that those people are overworked, they are tired, they don't have time for their families because they are staying long hours, they need to work during the weekends because something is wrong, they need to be firefighting. You probably know the joke about the level 0 of process maturity about being firefighters. So it is incredible if at the end of this project we can see that those people now see that processes are running smoothly. They simply disappear, and now it is not a big deal to do something. Things are simply happening. You don't need to be a great hero that stays long hours, that struggles to win finally and deliver the result. Like the processes that are running smoothly make it look no problem. So this is wonderful if you can see how it helps people. And also when we had projects of helping customers with process improvement, with process automation, when we could see what is personally very important for me. Obviously for management, other KPIs are important because the customers and managers see that, okay, we were able to earn more, we could save that amount of money. But for me, it was incredible if we could see that people who had very, very, very difficult job that made them burnt out and they had a huge rotation. They got support from IT, but again, important thing, those people were not fired because, okay, we have this automated, we don't need you anymore, but they got additional training. They could be reskilled. They could take new positions in the company that were more interesting, that had other requirements. So for me, it was awesome that the company had the benefit, but also people were not fired. They were not removed because we don't need you anymore because we have the automation.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I cannot tell about details because I have NDAs for, nearly all of the projects that I have. But what I can tell you, because this is something that you can find on the internet, is that I had a chance to help a little bit the project team that was doing a project with NFZ, so this Polish National Health Fund,
Mm-hmm.
and they were creating clinical pathways for various diseases. For example, for conditions like diabetes or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So it is incredible that when I think that by helping those people model the processes, think about the processes, improve the knowledge transfer, and the doctors in various hospitals may have better knowledge. They may be helping their patients better. So it is incredible to think that we as process practitioners can not only improve the bottom line, save time, save money, do things like this, but we can also help people recover sooner, save lives, and do good things like that. So this is, for me, incredible stuff. And those are things that I remember with pleasure.
Yeah, I fully agree. I'm working with a customer whose purpose is to save people's lives. And it's amazing to show how all the employees contribute to this purpose based on their processes and to do their best to save people's lives. And I just love it. That's super cool. Thank you for these insights. And so
just to make it clear, well, I did not do anything meaningful. I just helped those people who are doing actual stuff do their job. So it was like, bringing pencils to a painter who does the great things. So I'm bringing pencils.
Yeah, that's understatement, but
small things, but it is great if I can see that I could help people who are doing awesome stuff. So this is something that I'm very, very happy and very proud of.
Yeah, that's true. Cool. And I think already in 2008, you founded bpmtips.com. Can you tell us a little bit more about why you did that? And how did the BPM world look like back then, from your perspective?
Yeah, it's quite a long time since that time. How the time passes, it is incredible. So, generally speaking, I must say that I enjoy learning new things a lot, and I like sharing the things that I learn with others. So for me, it was always fun to share with others, and I thought that maybe it would be helpful if I put those things that I had a chance to learn online on my blog. So I put first the blog on WordPress.com, then I moved to my own domain, so BPM Tips, so practical things. So this is why tips, BPM Tips. And back then in Poland, it looked like this, that processes were not actually hot. We had situations when we were talking with our customers, and we had a meeting, we had a presentation, and they spent 20 minutes. You could see that they are starting to think, and then they said, so actually you're not doing some kind of workflow or document management, you are only modeling boxes and arrows? So for many companies, it was totally crazy just to model processes. Why? If you automate it, it makes sense. But to model processes and think together how to improve them, why would you do such crazy thing? So my idea is, and was back then, to ask people from markets where there is better BPM maturity, how does the situation look like, so that people from countries like Poland and others can also benefit from it. And it turned out that because I decided to make it everything in English, I had readers from, nearly all the world. It was incredible to see that those posts were helpful for people from various countries where I could never be, where I could never visit them, and I could never help them personally. And this way, they were able to get some cool ideas from kind people that participated in my posts. So this is something incredible. And since 2008, the BPM Tips is developing. I also, sometime later, started publishing courses on process modeling on Udemy platform. So this is other part of what I'm doing.
Yeah, okay. We can put the links into the show notes for sure. And in the meantime, you pushed it even further. So to provide full transparency to our listeners, we are recording this on the 16th of January. The episode will be published, if everything turns out the way it's supposed to, on 24th of January. And in the meantime, you're planning to publish your results of your latest research work. You did that already for the 8th time, if I'm not wrong. It's about the BPM skills in 2024, hot or not. So amazing work, amazing people. But how did it all start? How did you come up with the idea of doing this research work and publishing the hot or not so hot topics of the specific year?
This is a fun story. So everything started because in 2016, I was teaching students about process modeling during the MBA course at Kazimierz University, so one of the best business schools in this part of Europe. And it was meant to give them something more than modeling. So I showed them how to model in BPMN, how to use the process architectures, how does the BPM generally look like. And I thought it would be super cool if I could also help them professionally to figure out what to expect, what skills will be beneficial for them, which elements will be hot. So this is why we picked the hot or not format, and which things are not something that they should be investing very heavily. And I have to tell you that I'm very, very, very weak at predicting the future. So just to mention a few examples. When I saw for the first time BPM, and I thought, no, this is totally crazy. Nobody will use it. This is too technical, too complicated. Business will never, absolutely never use it.
You were right, I would say.
Well, I would, since I had a chance to teach thousands of people worldwide BPMN, I would say that I was pretty stupid to some extent. So I had the same ideas about RPA. RPA, no way, it will never work. So luckily, very luckily, I decided to follow the known proverb. So plans fail for the lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. So I thought, okay, Zbigniew, let's do it like this. Let's ask people who are smarter than you are and who have a better feeling of what the future may hold. And I'm incredibly grateful that so many people decided to answer. So over 10 great BPM experts decided to invest their time to share their ideas, to share their knowledge with my students and also with my blog readers. So I'm very grateful to this day, additionally, because many of those participants from this first edition of Post are still participating to this day. So this is something really heartwarming. And I have to say big thank you to all of them. Yeah. So this was incredible. So the idea was to publish something that would help the students. And additionally, I put it online. And it turned out that this is something that people find useful. And I thought that, okay, maybe let's do it one more time and then one more time. So it grew a little bit. So in years where I have more than, let's say, 20 or 30 answers, I normally try to split it. So there were some years that I had 2 editions of this post a year. I think even one case where I had 3.
Wow.
So this is incredible that those people were so kind that they took time to answer the questions. The original questions were, what are the skills that the BPM practitioners should add to their toolbox in 2016?
Okay.
And which skills are no longer relevant or not practically available yet as hype. So this was the hot and not.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is what we did originally in the first edition.
Okay, that's super cool. And can you be a little more specific, just in general? Who did you invite? What kind of people are sharing their ideas on the relevant topics?
So generally speaking, I always try to invite people who have various views. So there will be some BPM practitioners, but also people from academia, people who are not in the BPM area, for example, BAs, but also people who may have interesting perspectives. For example, in 2018, I invited Anand Sanval from CB Insights, who is totally not involved in any way in business process management, but he's from the market research company who are doing, by the way, awesome job. If you're interested in market research, if you want to learn more about any kind of specific market, CB Insights should be your go-to localization. And Anand, in his answer, where he shared his experiences, because his company was doing what we are generally doing now with generative AI, he told how does he see the new ways of supporting organizations with handling lots of data, with lots of knowledge available in a digital form. So for me, it is incredible to have participants from various backgrounds. So from tool vendors, from consulting companies, from universities, that are sharing their perspectives about processes, that they're telling how do they see the processes, what problems do they see, what possibilities do they see, which elements do they think will be hot, which elements are in their perspective no longer relevant. So I try to make it pretty broad, and I think it worked pretty nicely. So in the first edition, I had a great list of participants. As I told you, many of them are still participating today. So just if we go by the alphabet, it was Josep Maria Kos, Lloyd Dugan, Ian Gotts, Harold Keane from BOC Group, from my company, Professor Marcella Rosa, Alberto Manuel, Nathaniel Palmer, Adrian Reed, who is the BI business, the analyst that I mentioned. I enjoy very much answers from Adrian because he gives the BI perspective, which is super, super valuable. Clay Richardson, Pedro Bledo, Alexander Samaran, Jim Siner, John Tesmer. So incredible group of experts who were so kind to share their knowledge with others.
Yeah, that's super cool. And what were the hot topics back then in 2016?
Well, here I may say that not all the participants always agree. And this is the part of why this is so super interesting, super valuable.
Yeah.
But I would say from their answers, of course, if you want to go read on my website and decide on your own, what do you think will be their takes? What do you think were the most important things for them? For me, I would say that there was maybe consensus would be too much, but many of them mentioned that customer journeys, customer experience were the topics that were super hot and super relevant and worth exploring further.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. And how did it develop over time? So how did the topics change? Before we talk about what is hot today, but just to have a look back, how did it develop?
It was very interesting. So many topics appeared, many topics were mentioned. So we had RPA, we have lots of mentions of various types of automations, so no code, low code, and obviously process mining. So you could see how topics appear, how they become more visible, or they lose a little bit of visibility. So I would say that now we are moving more into the process mining, automation, and as we'll move to 2024, additional topic.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Then let's talk about 2024. Who participated this year? You don't have to mention all people because I guess it's a quite long list, but just to give some names, who was there?
Yeah, so you will have some names that we had in the first edition. So we'll have, maybe let me take a look at the original list and I will compare it with participants from this edition. So from participants from the first edition, we'll have Lloyd Dugan, we'll have Ian Gotts, Harold Keane, and Jim Siner. But additionally, some other great participants like Professor Rosman and many, many others. For some of them, I'm still waiting for confirmation or from acceptance from their PR team. So I unfortunately cannot mention all the names, but when the podcast is available, when the post is online, you can go and see who will be in the first edition. And additionally, in a few weeks, early February, we'll have a second edition of the post with additional participants.
Wow. I'm super curious to learn more. And so what are the hot skills in 2024? Tell us more.
It may not be a huge surprise for you, but Gen AI is hot topic. And generally, AI literacy and being able to work with all the new technologies, all the new solutions is something very, very hot, which is mentioned by many participants. So I would say that here we have general consensus that nearly everyone mentions it as a hot topic. But obviously, process mining is a hot topic too, automation, and various types of improving processes.
Okay. I'm super curious to read all the feedbacks or the posts of the people there in the future. And before we go a little bit deeper, and what are the skills we don't need in 2024 anymore? What do we have to let go? Or can we let go?
This is a complex question because very, very commonly, since many years, I have answers from some of my participants that process modeling or BPMN are no longer relevant. You can forget about them. Well, I'm not that sure. I'm not fully confident that we don't need to model processes at all, because I think that process modeling makes sense. Mm-hmm. I would say, I think there is the famous quote from Eisenhower, mm-hmm. that he found that the plans are useless, but planning is invaluable. So I would say that pretty commonly the actual models don't create huge value, mm-hmm. but the modeling, the figuring out how does the process look like, or how should the process look like, discussing with others, it is something that is very valuable. So I would say that even though it is super easy to have your process modeled or even process suggested by AI tool like ChatGPT. We even had there are several solutions that can do it right away. We even did a prototype for this several months ago for ADONIS. So it is very easy to have your process modeled automatically. Mm-hmm. But it would not give you the insight that you have when you're meeting with people who are doing it. It would not give you the real value that is when you meet with other people from different teams, from different departments, and you're starting to figure out, why does your process look like this? What you can change? How do you create value with this process? So I would say that it may happen that will BPMN or other notations will become irrelevant, but the general idea of communicating with others, sharing knowledge with others, I think that this is something that will stand the test of time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I would say the process of modeling process is so important to bring the people together to create this common picture of the process.
Exactly. And the common understanding. This is so important. Yeah. So how we do it, it is not that important. But that we do it, that people are talking to one another, that we are thinking together, that we are creating some common understanding, it is pure gold.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool. I love process modeling, and that's awesome. Yeah, cool. Let's put that into relationship to the results of my latest survey I did end of last year. I asked a lot of people out there of the new process community what they have on their list as topic for 2024. And topic number 5 was named by 15% of the participants, and there were about 70-something participants. So all kinds of people being responsible for BPM in an organization, working as internal BPM consultants or external consultants. So it's a nice sample of people who participated there. And 15% of them said that they have process mining on the list for 2024. And I was a little bit surprised that only 15% of the people have process mining already on their list they are working on. So that was...
This is very curious. It is so interesting topic. So only thing that comes to my mind why so few people mention it is that because they may not have the knowledge how to approach it, but there are lots of great courses, lots of great books. There are awesome courses by Professor van der Aalst. So it is really easy to get the knowledge, but maybe they don't have proper support in their companies. Maybe they don't have the data they could use to fill it into the process mining tools and to have some results. So maybe it is that they don't have anything to mine.
Yeah, maybe. That's absolutely a challenge to get the data, for sure, also from my experience. But I also talked about that with Jean-Marc Heriot, who was my guest, I think 2 episodes ago. He is leading the process mining initiative at Mann & Hummel. And he was also surprised that only so few people are working on process mining or have that on the list for this year. And I think for sure, at first, you need to establish a process culture. So have a basic understanding. You have to enable the people, train them for basic BPM topics. But then you should start early with process mining. That was what he also recommended at that time. So that's interesting. It's good to hear. That's also on the radar of so many people that participated in your survey. Then AI has also been in the top topics on my list. So it's basically part of number 2, where 43% of the participants named topics like they want to improve their process, digitize, automate, or use AI to optimize processes. So, but only a smaller number specifically named AI. So that's definitely a topic you should think about to learn more about how to apply that. And for sure, it's a buzzword, and there's a real hype about AI, and it takes a step further. You have to really deep dive into it to understand how to apply that to your processes on the business process level, as well as onto process management. You already mentioned using ChatGPT to suggest a process based on just say, describe a process for, I don't know, incoming goods or something like that. And then it types down or even paints a model of a process. But that's not the common understanding, and you miss the process of creating this picture together. So that's why I'm really skeptical. But anyways, we have to discuss that and work with AI to understand it and to be on the same level with the business people to help them improve their processes. So that's super interesting. Automation is also part of improving processes. But on my list, topic number 1 was the challenge to inspire people for processes. So all this basic
and
work.
I love this.
Was that also named? Besides my contribution, were there also other participants in your research who talked about these establishing a process culture, get people excited about processes, that this is a skill you need in 2024?
Well, maybe not directly like this, but many touch the soft topics, soft skills like communication, involvement, change management. And I love that you had it very clearly how to inspire people for processes. Some years ago, I even had additional roundup post where I also invited BPM experts and asked them how to do it, how to sell BPM in organization. Because I can see that it is relatively easy to introduce the tool to a company. It is relatively easy to train people how to model processes. It is not rocket science to tell them how to improve the process, how to search for waste, how to communicate with others, how to simulate the processes, how to compare variants. This is not a big deal. But the real thing is how to make sure that you really have the process management processes, that this is alive, that you don't have lots of process models that are dead after half a year, because nobody cares about updating them. The life happens, and you have models and you have life. And there is a widening gap between 2 of them. Or how to make sure that the process owners actually care about their processes, that they think in terms of their processes. Again, one joke, one of my colleagues told that some time ago, he had the luckiest day of his life because he was at his customer side and he noticed that 2 of the top managers were having an argument. And they were arguing next to the process architecture and showing the processes and discussing how it should look like. And he said that now I know that I had real impact. I made something that was important enough for them to argue over. They were arguing over processes.
Exactly.
So it shows that they started to think in terms of processes, and it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's so true. I love that example. And taking your immense experience and putting that together, what are your top 3 recommendations to get it to a more human-centric BPM approach to get people excited about processes?
Well, I would say about two aspects, first of all. So first aspect, I would say very commonly as process practitioners, we are thinking about the aspects like cost, time, quality, and obviously we need to think about them because if we are offering something to our customers, the management wants to see the results. They want to see how does it impact the bottom line, what is the return on investment. But I would say that it's also worth thinking how the changes that we are introducing will impact our customers, our environment, the broad society. So how we can make the life of others better with our processes. Will the process will be good for the company, but will it be good for the customers? Will it be good for others? So I would say that the one thing would be to see something bigger than us, something more important than money, seeing what is the impact of what we are doing on the world outside. And now the second aspect. Since we had a look at the outside of the company, now let's see how did the process impact the lives of our employees. Do our processes make their lives easier? Is it something that helps them, let's say, onboard faster, make them more motivated? Do those processes help them? I don't know what is your thing, but when I'm meeting with people from my various companies, from my various partners, I see that people, especially after COVID, are working in a slightly different way. They make more errors. They are not that focused. So I would say that important thing is how we can use processes and various tools to help them, create impact, to help them do something good. So not to think, okay, how to replace them with automation, but how to help them with automations, with good processes, so that they can do something good, so that they can do something meaningful. And how could the processes be organized in such a way that people who are working internally in our company can have, maybe it will sound terrible, but how we can organize the processes so that they can have a good life without spending too long hours over time, without spending weekends not with their families, with their loved ones, but by working on the super urgent things that happened because there were some problems with processes. So second aspect would be that you can inspire people to think about processes, because this is something that may help them and their colleagues, their peers, to work in a nicer environment, to have a better work-life balance, to have better work experience. So this would be it. And the last one, very commonly, especially now in European companies, we have all the ESG aspects. So we have the environmental aspects. So I would say that apart from looking at the outside about the customers, on the inside about our people, it would be seeing the broader view. So how our processes will impact the world, the generations to come. Do we make something that is really beneficial for others? So are we doing something that is, let's say, profitable in the short term, but very, very harmful in the long term? So now this is a little bit more philosophy and not BPM, but I would say that it really helps if people think of their work, their actions, and their processes by having broader contexts, by thinking about what can we do to eliminate hurry, to eliminate stress, to help people do meaningful things and better for the planet, for our children, and for others. So those would be the three things, not time, cost, and quality, as we would normally say, but people, people, and people.
Yeah, I love it. It perfectly fits to the new process approach. And that's great. So to wrap it up, what is your key message to our listeners? Not just with regards to a new process, just overall with regards to your work or What is your key message?
Always try to find people who are smarter than you are and learn from them. Because it is great to have various perspectives, to learn from different bubbles, from BPM guys, from BA guys, from AI guys, from people with various perspectives, because this way you will have better view of what your processes are like, really, of what you should be focusing on, and you won't be pushing your own vision of change by forgetting about different perspectives. So I would say always try to find other people and hear what they have to say, communicate with them. I think it was Tom DeMarco that in his great book Deadline had something like, I'm now translating from Polish to English, so it may not be exact, but he mentioned something that the key to management is like this. You need to find the good people, the proper people, and then even if you have problems, they will save you. They will do the things necessary for you to have the results, for you to have what you want to achieve. And all the other aspects are, how he called it, administrivia. So small administrative formalities. So small administrative stuff. And I would say that this is really important. Find the good people, people that you can learn from, people that you're working with, people that you can also help inspire. So it's incredible that you are sharing your knowledge of your guests with lots of podcast listeners. This is incredible that you're helping people worldwide. And I would invite all your listeners to think if they can share what they learned with others. Because it is great to learn something from others, but it is also awesome to share it, to pass it to the future generations, to pass it to other people, and to enrich others by giving what you got from others and what you learned on your own.
Wow.
So this would be my summary.
Wow. Perfect. Thank you so much. And where can the people find you? Where can they learn more about your work? I think the question is simple to answer, but we definitely have to talk about where can the people find you and the results of your work.
Yeah, generally the best way would be to go to my website, so bpmtips.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. So on those two places, you can find the most relevant updates about what I'm up to, what is happening, for example, with my courses, with other stuff, and maybe some other interesting things that are happening.
Yeah, perfect. We're going to put all the links into the show notes so our listeners can easily reach the results and learn more. And now I'm super curious because I'm always asking my guests for a recommendation of a tool, a method, or an expert, which I should have a closer look onto. Maybe also invite to the podcast to get new ideas to rethink processes. So it doesn't have to be from the BPM space, could be from everywhere. What is your recommendation there?
I have so many people in mind. So I would say each and every of my blog post participants had so great insights. So it would really make a lot of sense to follow them, to learn from them. Luckily, you had a chance to interview quite a few of them. So this is a good one. So probably if I would suggest someone you should invite, maybe Adrian Reed. He's not a BPM guy. He's a business analyst. He's a great person with lots of wonderful insights. So I always enjoy his perspectives on lives, on processes, on how does the business work. So maybe he would be a good guest.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm already following him, but now I'm putting him onto my list for podcast interviews. That's cool. Thank you for this recommendation. That's great.
You're welcome.
Before we leave the aircraft, I don't know if you already realized that we smoothly landed this episode. Is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners?
Yes, obviously. So what I would like to share with you is that it is always good to learn from others. So I would invite you to listen to the following podcast episodes from Mirko and to find other places where you can learn about new BPM trends and what is happening. So I would again recommend you following all the people who are participating in my posts because they are doing awesome stuff. They're doing really great work. So if you just find those people on LinkedIn, you will be up to date. You will see what is happening in the BPM area.
Perfect. Zbigniew, thank you so much. It was great talking to you. Just one final question. How would you describe your flight experience today in just 3 words?
Lots of fun.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, that's cool. I also enjoyed it and it was super interesting. I just can recommend to other people out there, go to bpmtips.com to have a look at the detailed answers of all these cool experts you collected there. Thank you so much for your work. I'm already looking forward to the topics for 2025. So we'll see. But first, we have to learn about 2024.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
12
for being
months.
my guest.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's recap today's new process inspiration.
Wow, that was fun. Hope you enjoyed the interview, same as I did. I think it's impossible to dive into all the different views of the participants of his research in podcast episode. So you have to visit bpmtips.com to get all the details. But it was interesting to learn that there is a common sense that AI and BPM, process mining, and automation are the skills you need to learn this year. This also fits to the results of my recent survey, but I have to point out that only 15% of the survey participants said that they already have process mining on their list. Same applies to AI and BPM. Even if this is part of the huge cluster to improve processes, it seems to be only on the list of smaller percentage of organizations. So make sure you don't miss this. And what I also have to point out is that you have to implement a process culture first. So learn the basics before you can successfully go into topics such as process mining, automation, or AI. As a specific call to action, here are my 3 recommendations to prepare yourself for 2024. First one is get a broader idea of these skills by reading the answers of Zbigniew's research at bpmtips.com. Second, join New Process Pro to join forces with other BPM enthusiasts to learn more about these topics in special interest groups, which we are planning for the course of 2024. To do so, just go to newprocesslab.com/pro. And my third recommendation is to visit the New Process Conference in April, where we have all these topics on the agenda. To get your tickets, just go to newprocesslab.com/conference. So, in the next episode, we'll have another expert interview, but I don't want to reveal too much today. Just make sure to follow the New Process podcast to not miss the next episode. For now, thank you very much for listening. Have a great day. Bye-bye und auf Wiedersehen.
You've been listening to the New Process Podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode for more tools, methods, and best practices to rethink your process and push it to the next level. Thank you for listening.
Before you leave, as I mentioned in the episode, we'll have special interest groups on all these topics on New Process Pro in the course of 2024. So let's join forces and become a New Process Pro for free by heading to newprocesslab.com/pro. Have a great day. Bye-bye.